Oh, why hello. I did not see you there. My apologies. As you can see, I'm just kind of sitting here. I think it's important to indulge yourself in some literature every now and then. It really gets the brain going. It really gets your mind sharpened and all that. As you can see here, I have a little bit of a new Mountain Dew flavor that came out. It's just something that I felt I would indulge myself in, just as a little bit of a treat mid reading. Um, it's the Mountain Dew Dragon Fruit. This flavor actually it's the new Walmart exclusive. It replaced Mountain Dew Frostbite, which very sad to see it go. It was a very good flavor while it lasted. But Dragon Fruit has in fact replaced the Frostbite. So I haven't actually given it a try here. I am very excited. It's worth mentioning that 95% of Walmarts don't actually have it yet, which is kind of disappointing considering it's supposed to be the Walmart exclusive. But we won't get into that right now. As you can see, the artwork here, it shows quite a bit of dragon fruit, some random cottages in the background. You can see a mountain here. Now, I did notice on here, it looks like there is some water. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but it looks like there's some water with maybe a shark fin. Now, quite frankly, I'm not entirely sure what that has to do with dragon fruit. Maybe it has something to do with where dragon fruit is farmed at. I'm not 100% sure on that. But nevertheless, let's go ahead and give this a try, shall we? Hmm. Hmm. Quite the tart taste, if I do say so. Uh, Typically with Mountain Dew, you have the more sweet sort of punch in the face, if you want to consider it that. Sort of like again, the more sweet, not so much subtle. That is a good way to describe this one, though. I feel like the flavor is a little more subtle with this. The flavor, it's not in your face, it's not jumping out at you, and even the carbonation, as far as that goes with this drink itself, doesn't feel as burny or as scratchy to your throat. So it's definitely more smooth tart rather than sweet, and not necessarily sour, but the more like stingy carbonation feeling you get, there's less of that with this drink for sure. Now, with that being said, it's not necessarily a bad Mountain Dew per se. Uh, I personally would probably go more for a thrashed apple, or possibly a pitch black, perhaps. Now, that is quite an old take, but I'm more of an old soul myself, so I personally would rather go for one of those two. Not to say this is bad. Compared to Frostbite, I'm not necessarily certain that this is as good as Frostbite was. It being a Walmart exclusive, I feel like they might have kind of missed the mark with that. I don't believe this should have been an exclusive flavor by any means, but regardless, again, it's good. It's good. It is worth mentioning as well that I personally have never actually indulged in dragon fruit, the actual fruit itself. So I can't give you an exact estimate of how good this is, how good of a representation this is of the original fruit. But I will tell you that if dragon fruit is something that you enjoy, I would assume they're usually pretty good about getting their flavors to match the objects that they are trying to represent. So if you do like dragon fruit, I would definitely recommend picking this up, given that it more than likely is a good representation of dragon fruit. It is worth mentioning that it does say dragon fruit, naturally and artificially flavored. It is kind of odd that they word it like that. Typically, it would say naturally flavored with such and such. So they start off the naturally flavored by saying dragon fruit naturally flavored. Little odd there. I will also mention that, as you can see, it is sporting the new Mountain Dew logo that recently has been the status quo for Mountain Dew. I also noticed I don't have anything with me to represent this, but if you would notice, they have rebranded Voltage. So now the Voltage cans and bottles actually look different. Instead of it being like the blue raspberry look, it's just regular raspberry. I don't know if the flavor's changed. I would assume probably not. Same thing with like live wire. I think most of the Mountain Dew flavors, the older Mountain Dew flavors, have kind of had a little bit of a rebrand with the new logo that came out. I'm not sure if that was like an aesthetic choice that they wanted to make just to spruce up the Mountain Dew or something like that. I would assume the flavor remained the same, but that remains to be seen. It's also worth mentioning, compared to most flavors, like as I just previously mentioned, Voltage for a raspberry flavor, they don't call it Mountain Dew Raspberry. They call it Mountain Dew Voltage. It has a special name. So I'm not entirely sure why they decided for this Mountain Dew to just call it Dragon Fruit. You would think they could have called it like Dragon's Breath, something like that along those lines. I'm not entirely sure what the marketing team was thinking when they decided to name it Dragon Fruit. It's a very basic name, but in that case, if you think about it that way, as I mentioned, it's kind of a bland flavor, a bland take on your average Mountain Dew, so maybe the bland name is supposed to also represent that, rather than going over the top with the name and the artwork. Because even the artwork itself, sometimes artwork has like really crazy things going on, but as I mentioned, this is just, other than the looks like the shark fin in the background and the mountain, you just have some dragon fruit plants, the houses, stuff like that. So it's a very bland Mountain Dew overall, but again, that's not to say that it's bad. Personally, again, I would prefer a thrashed apple or a pitch black or something of those sorts, but this is still a very good Mountain Dew. If I were to rate it, I would probably give it about a maybe an 8 out of, I'd say 10, 8 out of 10 or 11 maybe. As for the aerodynamics of this, I do believe that this would be aerodynamic in its own way as compared to most Mountain Dews. But yes, I would say that this is definitely aerodynamic. Now, other than that, I would say that I do recommend trying this if you are a fan of dragon fruit and you go to your local Walmart. They should be there. I do want to check quickly if it includes... Oh, yes, it does include Red 40. That is worth mentioning if you are somebody that is worried about that sort of thing. It does include Red 40, so if you are on the train of not wanting to consume Red 40, you might want to avoid this drink. But other than that, I believe that it is very good. It's kind of got a little bit of a strawberry kiwi vibe going on with the green and red, which I believe that was the Uproar drink, I want to say, from, I believe it was Food Lion, the Food Lion exclusive. I believe that was a strawberry kiwi. It kind of gives me the same vibe as that, obviously different flavor and everything, but it does give me the same vibe. Now, if you'll excuse me, I want to thank you so much for watching and coming to visit me here, but if you don't mind, I would like to get back to my literature and my studies. So, thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will most definitely be seeing you in the next iteration of Food Review. Thank you.